Today on Sports Central, we'll be going over a college football game preview and prediction on one of the major SEC matchups coming up in Week 11 of this 2020 season. That's going to be between Alabama and LSU. And this is usually a major matchup moving forward in the SEC West. Usually this game decides who wins that division moving forward. And it looks a little bit different this year. Of course, LSU has started off 2-3, and they're not looking like a very good team. Meanwhile, for Alabama, they're rolling right now. They're the number one team in the nation. They're undefeated, and they're definitely looking like the most consistently good team in the nation right now. So all around, Alabama has had a great season. Kind of opposite seasons for both these teams so far. But yeah, that being said, we're going to be going over a college football game preview and prediction on this game here today, starting out with your team trends. Last game, Alabama beat Mississippi State 41-0 was the final score there. So that was a big shutout win for the Crimson Tide. And then meanwhile for LSU, they lost to Auburn 11-48 was the final score there. So they got blown out by the Tigers in that matchup 11-48. I mean, that was a bad loss there for LSU. I mean, I expected them to at least keep it close, but yeah, they didn't really stand a chance to Auburn there. As for the winning streaks for both these teams, Alabama is currently ranked the top team in the nation, 6-0 with a 6-game winning streak. Meanwhile, for LSU, they're 2-3 with a 1-game losing streak. So LSU, once again, it's just been a bumpy season for them. And considering the team that beat LSU in the first game of the season, Mississippi State, I mean, Alabama absolutely shut out Mississippi State 41-0. Meanwhile, Mississippi State beat LSU. And believe it or not, that's actually the Bulldogs' only win so far this season. Mississippi State is 1-4 with their only win being to LSU. So all around, it's just been a messy season for LSU. I mean, you can almost consider it to be a nightmare season for the Tigers so far. These games can be on Saturday, November 14th, 6 p.m. Eastern in Baton Rouge. So LSU will be your home team here. Spread currently says Alabama by 24. ESPN FBI's got the Crimson Tide 90%. And the Vegas prediction also has Alabama 47-36 being the final score there. So Alabama is favored in all three of our sources here pretty easily. I mean, yeah, 24-point spread for Alabama. I did not expect that to be a spread, especially with an Alabama and LSU matchup. But Vegas prediction is expecting a high-scoring game there, 47-36 being the final score right now. Here's your stat comparison for this matchup as well. Alabama's got 47 points per game right now, 22 points allowed. So they've allowed a lot of points, but then again, they've scored a lot too. They got 380 pass yards a game on average, 175 rush yards, 260 pass yards allowed, and then 128 rush yards allowed. So Alabama is looking really good on both sides of the ball, especially Mac Jones, 380 average pass yards a game. That is extremely impressive out of Alabama so far. As for LSU, they got 35 points per game, 33 points allowed. They got 338 pass yards a game, so all around, I mean, this passing team is pretty good too, with Miles Brennan at quarterback. And then they got 119 rush yards, so all around this offense is looking pretty good, I would say, for LSU as well. But as far as it goes for yards allowed, that's really where LSU is not doing very well. They've allowed 335 pass yards on average a game, which that is not going to be a good sign for things to come for LSU if Alabama plays at their top ability, because, I mean, if they average 380 pass yards on any defense, I mean, 330, I mean, that could be a bad game for LSU if they do not have a good game there. But 143 rush yards allowed is what they allowed there as well. Of course, these are your previous 5 games for both these teams. Alabama beat Mississippi State just a couple of weeks ago, 41-0. They beat Tennessee 48-17. They also beat Georgia 41-24. That was their signature win so far this season. They beat Ole Miss 63-48, and they beat Texas A&M, who is now a top 7 team in the nation, 52-24. So they've got 2 very signature wins, and that's why I think Alabama is certainly the best team in the nation right now. I mean, they've got 2 great wins right there with Texas A&M and Georgia. So Alabama is looking very good right now. As for LSU, they lost to Auburn 11-48. They also beat South Carolina 52-24. That was probably their best game so far this season. They lost to Missouri 41-45. That was a brutal loss there. They did beat Vanderbilt 41-7, and then they lost once again to Mississippi State 34-44. So they've had a couple of really bad games so far this season. Actually, you could say more than a couple. I mean, Missouri, you should not have lost to Missouri. And Mississippi State is just terrible this season. I mean, Auburn's a little more explainable, but still, I mean, this could be an ugly sign for this game if LSU plays the way that they have been. I mean, it could be pretty bad. Here are your key points for this one, though. Alabama is definitely the most consistently good team in the nation right now. There's no doubt about that. I mean, they've got a couple of great wins with Texas A&M and Georgia. I mean, they've been extremely dominant, too. They have not really had a close game yet so far this year. And Mac Jones, the quarterback, he's looking great. This offense in general is just rolling right now. And all around, Alabama is definitely looking like a great team, and definitely a team that I would trust to win the college football playoff this season, because, I mean, really no team has been able to be as consistent as Alabama has been. Like, we've seen many teams take a loss, like Clemson just lost this week. So, Alabama, I definitely think, is the most consistently good team right now. There's no doubt about that. LSU is having a nightmare season, though, and that's honestly pretty evident right now. I mean, 2-3 start, and then your 3 losses are to 3 more than mediocre teams. I mean, that's a problem for LSU right now. But LSU, I mean, if they can get a win against Alabama, that will make their entire season. I can guarantee you that. Like, LSU, it doesn't look like they're going to get a very good postseason position at this point. But if you could at least beat Alabama, your major rival in the SEC West Division, that could be a major win for LSU, and that could give them a huge momentum boost moving forward. And also, I mean, it just gives them a lot of motivation. I mean, that Alabama team is always a tough one for LSU, and so for them, if they could just beat Alabama here, that would really be a huge positive for their season. But I don't really like the chances of that in this one. I think Alabama is going to take control here, and they're going to get the win over LSU on Saturday. I'd say 70% chance that Alabama wins this game. I mean, LSU right now is just a mess. They just do not have anything going for them. And I mean, Miles Brennan, quarterback, he's a great quarterback, but LSU just has had so much trouble outside of the offense. I mean, the defensive side has just been horrendous for LSU this season. And honestly, it wouldn't surprise me if we saw Alabama put 40, possibly even 50 up on LSU on a bad day. But I'm actually going a little more conservative here. I think Alabama gets the win in a semi-close game. I'm going to say LSU does keep up in the first half, especially like your 17-10 is going to be your halftime score there towards Alabama, which I do think it's going to be a close game at the start. But in the end, Crimson Tide are going to get the win here at least by 10, 34-24 being your final score. But once again, I would not be surprised if this game was a blowout. Like, I just think Alabama, I mean, all around, this offense is looking much better than LSU's defense. I really like that matchup there for Alabama. And so, yeah, I got Alabama in this one pretty easily. But then again, thanks again for watching, guys. If you enjoyed this preview, slap a like on it and subscribe as well. If you enjoyed it, thanks again for watching. Do let me know your thoughts in the comments below, though, on this matchup. Let me know your score predictions, all of that. I'd like to hear your thoughts there. But then again, thanks again for watching. Stay tuned for more from All Sports Central, and I'll see you all later.